The education that your child will get in the social studies department begins in middle school with world cultures, and they'll get an opportunity to learn about the way people live, the way they think, the religions they follow, everywhere from Europe to the United States to China. They'll move on in 7th grade to learn about U.S. civics, which will give them a sense of how our government works in the United States and their responsibilities as Muslims living in a democracy. That knowledge will be built upon in 8th grade, and they will take a course on U.S. history. And when we study U.S. history, we try to integrate an understanding not only of key concepts such as the American Revolution, the Civil War, but the role that Muslims played in the history of the United States, whether it was early Muslim slaves brought over from Africa or the way that Muslims were participating in the civil rights movement in the 1960s, so that they get a better sense of what it means to be a Muslim American. In high school, they'll take world geography, which does return to the sort of the global scale of events. We focus on current events. We try to connect how each part of the world works to the larger headline stories they may hear in the news. When they get into 11th and 12th grade, they'll have an opportunity to take advanced placement in U.S. history. And our students have, again, done very well over the last number of years in this class. They've scored some of the highest in the country. And they will also get a chance to take international relations. This course is not offered in many public schools. It is a course that we have put together specifically for APA, and they get an opportunity to understand not only the theory of international relations, but how countries work together to foster peace rather than conflict. So when you see the headlines today, it's almost impossible to avoid problems emanating from Muslim world. So how do you deal with that? I mean, you have kids in class that have questions that, you know, they have to try to rectify where their parents came from and where they're living, and how can they contribute to solving these problems. I encourage them on a daily basis. You have to be a part of the solution. You must find a way to participate in the American political system in order to try to shape positive outcomes with the United States in the way that we relate to other countries, the way we relate to Iraq, the way we relate to the problems in Syria. How are we going to solve the problem of Palestine and Israel? And if they just remain in a state of sort of ambivalence, or they're just complaining about the problems without actually trying to find a legitimate solution, then there's no way forward. So I think having kids that have gone through not only a middle school where they learn about the way our government works here, but by graduating high school with an understanding of how the world works and how international relations works, it gives them a better understanding about where the problems come from, and hopefully inspires them to go out and actually try to make a difference.